Have you ever walked into a room and felt the air crackle, the entire energy shift before a single word escaped your lips? Suddenly, conversations hush, gazes become guarded, an almost palpable defensiveness hangs in the air. You're left wondering, what just happened? What did I do? But here's a stark reality, one seldom spoken aloud. When your personal energy is genuinely potent, it doesn't just influence, it can profoundly unsettle those around you. It can, quite frankly, disturb the hell out of them. This isn't because you're radiating negativity or doing anything inherently wrong. Paradoxically, it's often because your very presence, your authentic essence, acts like an unwelcome spotlight on everything they've desperately tried to conceal from themselves, the hidden corners of their own being they'd rather not acknowledge. The brilliant thinker Shi Heng Yi illuminated this phenomenon, speaking often about the shadow, those disowned parts of ourselves, the insecurities, fears, and unexpressed desires we bury so deep we almost convince ourselves they don't exist. But your energy, vibrant and clear, acts as an unconscious alarm, waking up these dormant shadows in others. This is the hidden reason they might suddenly act strangely around you, the awkward silences, the defensive postures, the passive-aggressive remarks, or those brittle fake smiles barely concealing a deep-seated tension. Understand this with absolute clarity. Their reaction is rarely, if ever, about you personally. It's a visceral response to what your presence inadvertently triggers within them. If you've ever been labeled too intense, too much, or felt a strange gnawing guilt simply for existing, then lean in. Because until you grasp how to manage and shield this powerful energy, you'll unconsciously shrink yourself to make others comfortable. A slow, quiet drain on your very life force. I'm not just going to explain why this happens. I'm going to unveil precisely how to safeguard your energy, erect invisible yet impenetrable boundaries that genuinely work, and finally cease absorbing the chaos of others. By the time we're through, you'll understand not only why people react to you the way they do, but more crucially, how to stop diminishing your brilliance to soothe their insecurities. Now, before we delve deeper into these intriguing dynamics, let's clarify one absolutely critical point. What in the world do we actually mean by energy? Because if we don't establish a grounded understanding right now, this entire conversation risks being dismissed as mere woo-woo fluff, some kind of esoteric nonsense. And let me assure you, this is far from it. We're venturing into the realms of profound psychology and even fundamental physics. This is real. When I speak of energy, I'm not referring to crystals, incense, or moonlit chants, though those can be beautiful practices for some. Instead, I'm talking about the undeniable field you carry with you, what the insightful Shi Heng Yi might describe in terms of vital force or internal cultivation. This isn't some vague aura, it's the tangible manifestation of your thoughts, your emotions, your unconscious drives, all coalescing into a distinct charge. And this charge, this personal atmosphere, isn't neatly confined within your physical body. It leaks, it expands, it broadcasts itself into the world around you. Shi Heng Yi often speaks to how every individual navigates the world with an energetic presence, constantly interacting with the fields of others. So, when you're conversing with someone, you're not merely engaging with their spoken words. You're interfacing with their unconscious mind, their childhood wounds, their hidden fears, the entirety of their inner landscape. This is precisely why some individuals exude an instant magnetism, drawing you in with an unspoken warmth, while others just feel inexplicably off, creating a subtle sense of unease. Now let's fast forward to the insights of modern science. What does quantum physics reveal? It echoes this sentiment with resounding clarity. Everything, at its most fundamental level, is energy. Matter, the very stuff of our physical world, is condensed energy. Thoughts, those seemingly intangible processes in our minds, generate energetic frequencies. Emotions, too, are powerful forms of energy. Your body is literally a symphony of vibrating atoms in perpetual motion. And much like one tuning fork can cause another nearby to resonate at the same frequency. Your internal state, your vibration, palpably affects the people around you, often without a single word being exchanged. Think about it. Have you ever walked into a room where two people just had a silent, intense argument? They're not yelling anymore, perhaps not even looking at each other, but you feel it, don't you? That palpable tension, like static electricity in the air. That's not your imagination, it's energy residue. Your nervous system, a highly sophisticated receiver, detects that dissonance without anyone needing to spell it out. Conversely, have you ever met someone whose mere presence instantly made you feel calm, as if your whole body just let out a sigh of relief you didn't even know it was holding? That too is energy. You're unconsciously syncing up with their frequency, your body mirroring their state of coherence. Look into neuroscience and you'll find concepts like mirror neurons, the biological basis of empathy, proving that we are fundamentally wired to feel and respond to the states of others, often bypassing conscious thought. So, when I say your energy disturbs people, I'm not being poetic. I'm stating that the unique frequency you carry, shaped by your unresolved traumas, your inner confidence, your self-awareness, all of it is tangibly felt by others, whether they're consciously aware of it or not. Shi Heng Yi might emphasize that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Now flip that. When someone else hasn't faced their own unconscious and you walk in, fully present and radiating your integrated self, your energy becomes an unsolicited mirror. And often, they deeply dislike what that reflection forces them to glimpse within themselves. So no, you're not imagining it. You're not too much. You're just tuned in, and in a world where many are still asleep or avoiding their inner truths, that level of attunement is rare enough to rattle them. Let's start with one of the most subtle yet powerfully telling signs that your energy is making waves. People feel inexplicably nervous around you, even when you haven't done a single thing to provoke it. You haven't raised your voice, uttered a controversial word, perhaps you've barely even spoken. Yet, you notice the shift. Their body language becomes tight and constrained. They might avoid direct eye contact. Their laughter sounds a little too forced, a little too high-pitched, and their hands fidget restlessly. You're sitting there, calm and composed, silently wondering, what on earth did I do? The truth is, you likely did nothing overt. Your energy did the talking. People who are navigating life disconnected from their own inner chaos, those grappling with insecurity or hiding behind a carefully constructed mask of everything's fine, walk around encased in psychological armor. This armor is forged from avoidance, denial, and a persistent pretense that all is well, when deep down it's not. Then you enter the scene, clear, present, unapologetically aware. You might not even be conscious of the clarity you emanate, but your very presence carries a vibration of authenticity. And for individuals accustomed to living in a state of internal distortion, clarity is profoundly confronting. This is where the concept of projection, as discussed in many psychological and philosophical traditions, comes into play. When someone's unconscious baggage becomes too heavy for them to carry, they often, without realizing it, throw it onto the nearest person who makes them feel something they can't quite name or explain. Suddenly they are uncomfortable around you, not because you're being mean or critical, but because your presence is inadvertently tugging their hidden shadow aspects towards the surface, and their nervous system, sensing this internal disturbance, goes into a state of panic. They don't know how to articulate this inner turmoil, so what do? They get awkward. They might laugh too loudly at your jokes, over-explain simple things, or fall into an unnerving silence as if they've just seen a ghost. And you're left there, questioning yourself, am I being too intense? No. More often than not, you're simply holding a frequency of authenticity they're not accustomed to. Imagine someone who has been sitting in a pitch-dark room for years. Then, you walk in and casually flip on a bright light. What happens? They squint, they flinch, they might even recoil and yell, "Turn it off!" Not because light is inherently bad, but because their eyes have become so accustomed to the darkness that the sudden illumination is overwhelming, even painful. In this scenario, you are the light, and their reaction is to the unfamiliar sensation of truth and clarity. Neuroscience even backs this up. Our nervous systems are exquisitely designed to pick up on microsignals, nonverbal cues, subtle shifts in posture, minute fluctuations in tone. When someone near you is fully grounded and authentic, their nervous system radiates a sense of coherence. For people who aren't used to such a state, whose own systems are perhaps in a state of flux or dissonance, their own system can start to glitch. Their heart rate might increase, cortisol levels could spike, and their mirror neurons might misfire because their brain struggles to match your frequency. So, to reiterate, you're not too much, and you're not making it weird. You are, in essence, holding up a mirror. And the thing about mirrors is, some people see their reflection and are inspired to rise, while others see themselves and feel compelled to run. Let them. That reaction speaks volumes about their internal landscape, not your inherent worth. Now, let's talk about a sign that can really mess with your head, especially if you're unaware of the underlying dynamics. Strangers randomly challenging you or hitting you with a wave of passive-aggressive energy seemingly out of nowhere. You walk into a store, polite and calm. Perhaps you just ask a simple question, and the clerk responds with that tone. You know the one. It's dry, condescending, laced with just enough attitude to let you know they've got a problem. And it's clearly not about the price of milk. Or consider being at work. You present an idea in a meeting, confidently and clearly, and almost immediately someone tries to one-up you, not necessarily because your idea was flawed, but because they felt the strength of your presence and their ego couldn't quite handle it. What's really happening here? Your energy, often without conscious effort on your part, signals strength, inner stability, self-possession, and clarity. For certain individuals, particularly those carrying unaddressed insecurities, this can make them feel small by comparison. It's crucial to understand that you haven't made them feel that way. Your presence merely highlights the insecurity they were already carrying. So how do they react? Often they attack, but not directly. That would be too obvious, too vulnerable. Instead, they resort to passive aggression, snide comments, sarcastic jabs, subtle attempts to undermine your tone or question your intent. It ceases to be a conversation and becomes a subtle power game. Why? Because when someone's identity is heavily invested in maintaining an image of control, seeking approval, or appearing superior, and you walk in with nothing to prove, simply being yourself, they feel the imbalance. They feel exposed. Their ego, sensing a perceived threat, shifts into defense mode. Psychologically, this is often referred to as an ego threat, a situation where a person perceives someone else as superior in a way that challenges their self-image. Research, like a 2004 study from the University of Michigan, has found that individuals with more fragile self-worth are far more likely to react with aggression or undermining behaviors when they feel challenged, especially by someone who isn't even consciously trying to trigger them, so you're not imagining it. That weird tension from the waiter, the snarky comment from a coworker, the random person trying to assert dominance over you in a casual setting, it's often not random at all. It's an ego defense mechanism because deep down, your grounded energy feels like a threat to someone who is still performing, still insecure beneath their facade. Think of it like two people standing before a mirror. One has spent years meticulously building themselves up externally, focusing on looks, titles, followers, reputation, but internally they remain unsure, still seeking external validation. The other person, you, shows up with quiet confidence and presence, not chasing approval because you have a solid sense of who you are. When both stand before that mirror, who do you think is going to feel more exposed, more vulnerable? That's why they might come for you, not because you're arrogant, but because your authentic existence challenges their carefully constructed illusion of control. And when someone hasn't cultivated genuine self-worth, their default response can be to try and pull you down to a level where they feel safe and less threatened again. The secret here is simple, but not always easy. Don't bite. Don't get drawn into their game, because that's precisely what they want, to equalize the energy by provoking a reaction from you. Hold your center. keep your energy clean. Their challenge isn't an invitation to engage, it's a test of your own stability. And often, the most powerful response is no response at all, or a calm, detached observation. You didn't come to play power games. You came to live in your truth. Let their ego wrestle with itself. You just keep rising. This leads us to another fascinating phenomenon. People are either intensely magnetized to you or strongly repelled. There's rarely an in-between, a lukewarm indifference. You've probably sensed this your entire life, but perhaps couldn't quite articulate why. People either feel an almost insane, inexplicable draw towards you, or they can't seem to stand being in your vicinity. They either open up to you within minutes, sharing their deepest secrets as if you're their long-lost soul guide, or they actively avoid you, criticize you subtly or overtly, or even ghost you with surprising speed. Does this sound familiar? Here's the underlying reason. Your energy doesn't just passively sit in the background like wallpaper, it actively demands alignment. People feel it on a profound level, even if they can't consciously articulate what it is. And here's the kicker. Your energy unconsciously forces people to make a choice. It's as if your mere presence flips an internal switch within them, prompting the silent question, am I willing to face myself right now? If their answer, even on a subconscious level, is yes, they lean in, often with remarkable speed. They open up, they trust you, they feel an inexplicable sense of safety with you. This isn't because you're being overly nice or performative, it's because your authentic frequency resonates like home to the part of them that has been starved of genuine connection and truth. However, if their internal answer is no, they bail. They might become judgmental, unusually quiet, or emotionally cold because something about your clarity makes them feel uncomfortably seen, and that sensation terrifies the parts of them that prefer to remain hidden. The psychological mechanism at play here is emotional resonance. We are naturally wired to sync with the emotional frequencies of those around us. Those mirror neurons are at work again. But when someone is carrying unresolved trauma, living a life that feels inauthentic or clinging to a false persona, and you show up aligned, integrated, and fully present, their system often can't sync with yours smoothly. There's a clash, a dissonance. It's not that they hate you, rather they hate how they feel around you because your energy inadvertently highlights the internal inconsistencies they're desperately trying to ignore or suppress. Think of it like tuning forks. When two forks are tuned to the same key, striking one will cause the other to vibrate in harmony. That's connection. But if one fork is significantly out of tune, it will either vibrate chaotically in response or not at all, creating a sense of discord. That's energetic repulsion. It's rarely personal, it's about resonance. So when people are drawn to you with an almost magnetic pull, trusting you with their stories as if they've known you forever, trust that they are responding to your frequency with the most truthful part of themselves. And conversely, when people reject you, distance themselves, or act strangely without any discernible cause, try not to internalize it as a reflection of your worth. They're not rejecting you as a person. They're often rejecting the part of themselves that your energy is attempting to awaken. For instance, you might meet someone at a social gathering, barely exchange more than a few pleasantries, and yet, within minutes, they're confiding in you about their entire life story, their childhood wounds, their deepest insecurities, dreams they've never dared to voice aloud. This isn't because you asked the right probing questions. It's because your presence emanates a palpable sense of safety, a non-judgmental space where they feel, perhaps for the first time in a long time, that they can drop their mask. Contrast this with someone who gives you sideways glances, avoids small talk, or abruptly stops texting you after one conversation that veered into deeper territory. That's often a nervous system signaling, this level of clarity is too much for me right now, I'm not ready. The bottom line is this: you are not meant to be universally digestible or palatable to everyone. You are not here to make people comfortable at the expense of your own authenticity. You are here to be real, and that kind of potent, real energy naturally polarizes people, and that's okay. It's a sorting mechanism. So stop contorting yourself to be universally likable. Instead, focus on being unapologetically authentic. The people who are ready for your truth, who resonate with your frequency, will come closer. The rest, let them walk. That isn't rejection, it's alignment. Then there's the intriguing dual attraction. Empaths and, unfortunately, energy vampires are often drawn to your powerful field. This is one of the trickiest aspects to navigate. You might constantly find yourself attracting two distinct kinds of people, either the deeply sensitive, intuitive empaths who feel an immediate sense of safety and kinship with you, or the emotional leeches, those individuals who seem to drain you dry without even noticing the impact they're having. Does this ring true? Perhaps you've wondered, why do people always seem to open up to me with such intensity? Or, why do I feel so utterly exhausted after spending time with certain people, even if we didn't discuss anything particularly heavy? Let me break it down. When your energy is strong, grounded, and clear, it becomes like a well-charged battery. And guess what batteries attract? Things that need power. The first type, the true empaths, are generally not the problem. They are drawn to your clarity, your stillness, the coherence of your energy. Your frequency offers their often overstimulated nervous system a respite. It feels good and restorative to be around you because they don't have to perform or guard themselves. They can simply be. However, the second type, the energy vampires, is where the danger lies. These are often individuals who haven't learned how to regulate their own emotions. People who haven't done the necessary inner work, but instinctively crave the relief and stability your energy provides. They can mistake your presence for their peace, and when they find you, they may cling on tightly, not necessarily because they respect or value your energy, but because they want to feed off it to soothe their own internal disquiet. This isn't just spiritual dramatics, it's rooted in psychological mechanics. In psychotherapy, there's a concept known as emotional co-regulation. People with dysregulated emotional systems, particularly those with anxious or disorganized attachment styles, often unconsciously attach themselves to individuals who feel emotionally safe and stable, seeking to use the other person's groundedness to help regulate their own internal chaos. So, what happens? They might vent incessantly, trauma dump, or overshare intimate details without considering your capacity. They lean on you as if you're their therapist, healer, and savior all rolled into one, often without ever asking if you're willing or able to take on that role. And if you're not consciously aware of this dynamic, you absorb it. You carry their burdens. You walk away from interactions feeling heavy, foggy, utterly drained, as if you've just run an emotional marathon. A simple metaphor, your energy is like a pristine, clear lake. Empaths might come to sit by its shores, feel its peace, appreciate its beauty, and perhaps leave a flower of gratitude behind. Energy vampires, on the other hand, show up with buckets, dump their toxic waste into your clear waters, take what they need of your clean water, and then walk away without a word of thanks, leaving you to deal with the contamination. Here's a hard truth you must embrace. You are not here to be a dumping ground for others' unprocessed emotions. You are not a rehabilitation center for broken souls who refuse to take responsibility for their own healing journey. Yes, it's a noble quality to be able to hold space for others, but it becomes an act of self-betrayal if you consistently allow others to siphon your life force simply because they are too afraid or unwilling to face their own shadows. And if you've been conditioned from a young age to be the strong one, the healer, or the emotionally mature one in all your relationships, listen very closely. That very conditioning is what makes you particularly vulnerable to this dynamic. Because your light doesn't just attract love and genuine connection, it also attracts neediness and desperation. Your job isn't to meet every need that presents itself. Your job is to discern who genuinely deserves access to your precious energetic field and who is simply looking for a quick fix at your expense. So, the next time someone unloads on you out of the blue, or you walk away from a seemingly casual conversation feeling emotionally wrecked, don't immediately blame yourself or question your sensitivity. Recognize the pattern, name it for what it is, an energetic drain, and consciously choose to step back. True power isn't just the ability to lift others, it's also the wisdom to know when to say, "This isn't mine to carry." And here's a beautiful, often overlooked side note that speaks volumes. When your energy is truly clean and clear, you don't just attract certain types of people. You also draw in animals, young children, and even seem to have a harmonious relationship with nature itself. You might walk past a dog, and it stops pulling on its leash, its gaze softening as it looks at you with curious calm. You visit someone's house, and their notoriously shy cat, the one who supposedly hates strangers, comes right up to your lap and settles in as if you've been friends for a lifetime. You didn't do anything specific. You didn't try to coax them. Something in your energy, your very vibration, silently communicated. This space is safe. This presence is calm. You can relax here. And that's the thing about animals and very young children. They don't operate on pretense or social constructs. They don't care about your status, your looks, or your credentials. They feel vibration, they sense truth, they recognize safety. Even plants can seem to thrive in your home if your energy is consistently harmonious. They respond to frequency, to presence. You might not even consider yourself to have a green thumb, but somehow your living space becomes a vibrant jungle. This isn't random, it's resonance. There was a famous, albeit controversial experiment conducted by Cleve Baxter, a polygraph expert, where he connected plants to lie detectors and reported finding that they responded to human emotion, fear, joy, even unspoken intent. Whether or not you subscribe to every detail of that study, the underlying principle holds a certain intuitive truth. Life recognizes and responds to life. And when your energy is clean, when you're not broadcasting internal tension, resentment, or chaotic noise, life in its purest forms tends to lean towards you. So if you've ever wondered why animals and babies seem to just love you, or why you feel more profoundly at peace in nature than you often do around people, it's because nature, instinct, and innocence all recognize and resonate with truth. And truth, in its most unadulterated form, is what you radiate when your energy field is balanced and clear. This brings us to a crucial sign. You find you simply cannot stand inauthenticity, and reciprocally, inauthenticity can't stand you. If you've ever felt physically uncomfortable in environments saturated with fakeness, if superficial small talk feels like a unique form of torture, if you can sense with an almost visceral certainty when someone is being polite but not genuine, that's not you being overly picky or judgmental. That's your finely tuned energy system being intolerant to dissonance. And here's the fascinating twist. This intolerance works both ways. Not only can you acutely feel inauthenticity, but people who are deeply entrenched in their own inauthenticity often feel profoundly threatened by your genuine presence. You don't even have to say a word. Your presence alone can rattle the masks right off their faces, making them squirm. Why does this happen? Because when your energy is aligned, when you've done the hard inner work of facing your own shadow and consciously choose to live with integrity, you carry a kind of vibrational truth that cuts through the atmospheric noise like a finely honed blade. People who are living behind masks, who are performing a version of themselves rather than being themselves, feel this. It makes them nervous, defensive, sometimes even inexplicably hostile. Psychologically, this ties back directly to concepts of the persona versus the shadow, ideas explored by thinkers like Shi Heng Yi. The persona is the socially acceptable mask we wear for the world, the curated image of who we pretend or aspire to be. The shadow, as we've discussed, encompasses everything we try to hide, even from ourselves. When you show up authentically, grounded, with no agenda to impress anyone, you inadvertently trigger the potential collapse of that false persona in others. It's as if you shine an unavoidable spotlight on everything they've diligently tried to keep buried, and they instinctively recoil from what they see, or rather, what they are forced to feel. Consider a real-life example. You're in a group conversation where everyone is laughing a bit too loudly, exchanging superficial pleasantries, essentially skating on the surface of interaction. You either remain quiet, observing, or perhaps you drop one single real sentence into the mix. Nothing dramatic or confrontational, just a simple, unvarnished truth. Suddenly, the energy in the group shifts. Some people might fall silent, others shift uncomfortably in their seats, and a few might even display subtle or not so subtle signs of annoyance. Why? Because you didn't play the game. You didn't feed the illusion. You brought an element of real into a room that was comfortably coasting on fake, and genuine realness is inherently disruptive to artificiality. Here's a metaphor. Imagine everyone is at an elaborate costume party, each person diligently playing a role, pretending to be someone or something they're not. Then you walk in, wearing no mask, just being yourself. Some people at the party might feel a sense of relief, a silent, finally, someone being real. But others, they panic because your authenticity starkly exposes their costumes for what they are. Cover-ups, attempts to hide their true selves. This isn't just about social dynamics. It's a reflection of energetic law. Truth and illusion cannot coexist peacefully in the same space for long. And when your personal energy is deeply rooted in truth, it will naturally repel anything built on performance manipulation or the shallow pursuit of approval. So if people tell you you're too intense, or if they ghost you after one conversation that dared to go deeper than surface-level chatter, understand that they are not rejecting you. They are rejecting the feeling of being truly seen, perhaps before they are ready to see themselves. That is their journey, their process, not yours to fix or internalize. You're not difficult. You're just clear, and clarity, by its very nature, always disrupts confusion. So stop shrinking yourself to make inauthentic people feel more comfortable. Your authenticity isn't the problem, it's a powerful part of the solution, even if it burns a few masks along the way. Now, let's rip the cover off the real engine driving so many of these reactions. Why your very presence can rattle some people to their absolute core, even when you're being calm, kind, and quiet. It's because your energy doesn't just passively enter a room. It actively, often unconsciously, activates people's shadows. If you don't fully grasp what this means, consider the profound insight from Shi Heng Yi. Everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. In plain, everyday English, this means every single person has a dark side. A collection of aspects of themselves they hide, suppress, or deny. Repressed anger, shame, jealousy, guilt, deep-seated insecurities, all the messy, uncomfortable stuff that doesn't fit the good person image they strive to project to the world. Now, here's the truly wild part. That shadow doesn't just vanish because they pretend it's not there. It festers. It builds pressure, and when someone with a tightly sealed off shadow comes into contact with someone like you, someone who has perhaps done significant inner work, someone who is striving to integrate their own truths, shadows and all, they feel an intense, uncomfortable sense of exposure. This isn't because you're judging them. You're likely too busy managing your own inner world. It's because your integrated energy acts as a catalyst, activating the very parts of themselves they've been desperately trying to outrun or keep locked away. And that's precisely when projection kicks into high gear. Projection is the unconscious mind's ingenious defense mechanism. Instead of facing their own internal darkness, people start seeing it and reacting to it in you. Suddenly, you're too intense. You think you're better than everyone. You're intimidating. None of these accusations are actually about you. It's their own shadow talking to itself, using you as a convenient screen onto which to project its disowned contents. It's as if you become the human embodiment of a mirror they didn't ask to look into, but now, having caught a glimpse, they can't unsee the reflection of their own hidden aspects. For instance, imagine someone has deeply suppressed envy. They tell themselves and others that they're generous, supportive, and selfless. But deep down, beneath the surface, they harbor insecurity and jealousy. They want more for themselves, but are perhaps too afraid or unmotivated to genuinely pursue it. Then you walk in, comfortable in your own skin, owning your space, radiating a quiet confidence that doesn't seek external validation. This can trigger them intensely. Suddenly, they might feel an irrational dislike for you. But because they can't consciously acknowledge their own envy, they invent reasons for their aversion. She's so fake. He's full of himself. They just think they're better than everyone. The uncomfortable truth? That's their projection talking. And here's a critical insight. The more unconscious a person is, the more aggressively their projections can manifest. Your energy becomes a perceived threat, not because of what you do, but because of what your integrated presence represents. Wholeness, integration, truth. And truth by its very nature always threatens illusion. This is why so many genuinely powerful, authentic people are frequently misunderstood. It's not because they are inherently flawed or wrong, but because they reflect back to others the very things those individuals are terrified to see and acknowledge within themselves. So, if you've spent years wondering why people seem to flip on you out of nowhere, why you might experience intense connection one minute and inexplicable rejection the next, this is a core reason. Your light triggers their shadow, and until they are ready and willing to do their own inner work and deal with that shadow, they will likely continue to mistake their own internal pain for your problem. But now that you can see this pattern, here's the gift. You no longer have to take it personally. You can stop shrinking. You can stop dimming your light just to keep other people from feeling uncomfortable in the glare of their own unacknowledged truths. Because ultimately, triggering someone's shadow while uncomfortable isn't an act of cruelty. It's an encounter with truth. And sometimes, truth is the only thing loud enough to wake the unconscious. But what happens when you don't actively protect this powerful energy of yours? Let's talk about the profound price you pay. And I'm not just talking about feeling a bit tired. I'm referring to deep emotional burnout, a confusing erosion of your own identity, a spiritual depletion so profound that no amount of sleep can seem to fix it. If you're someone whose energy is naturally strong, deep and magnetic, and you haven't yet learned how to consciously guard it, you become an unwitting magnet for everyone else's chaos. And over time, that absorbed chaos starts to feel indistinguishably like your own. Here's how this insidious process often shows up. First, you might start doubting your own keen instincts, second-guessing those gut feelings that once served you so well. Then, you might notice you get easily drained by conversations or interactions that used to feel energizing. Or perhaps you start waking up with a vague, unsettling anxiety for no apparent reason. You might find yourself saying yes to things you intuitively feel are wrong, just to keep the peace or avoid conflict. And gradually, you lose the ability to clearly discern where your own feelings and needs end and other people's begin. That's not you being too sensitive. That's the hallmark of an energetic field that is wide open and completely unfiltered. Imagine for a moment walking around with no skin, no protective barrier whatsoever. Every emotion, every vibe, every unspoken tension in your environment, it all sticks to you. And if you don't consciously and regularly clear it, it becomes enmeshed with your own energy, eventually feeling like it is you. Here's what most people don't fully realize. Energy moves in both directions. You're not just broadcasting your own frequency, you're also receiving. It's a two-way channel. So, if someone around you is dumping fear, guilt, shame, or resentment into your shared space, and your energetic boundaries are permeable or non-existent, you absorb it. Your nervous system starts to carry and resonate with signals that are not yours. This is why so many strong, intuitive individuals go through debilitating cycles of burnout, depression, and even identity crises, because they've spent years unconsciously playing the role of an emotional sponge, mistakenly believing they're helping or being good, when what they're really doing is engaging in a slow, painful form of self-sacrifice. Let's go even deeper. There's a well-documented term in psychology called emotional contagion, and it's exactly what it sounds like. You can literally catch someone else's emotions through their tone of voice, posture, facial expressions, even if they never explicitly say a word about how they're feeling. Now multiply that effect by 10 if you're an energetically open and sensitive person. You don't just feel someone's mood, you can internalize it. And if you don't establish and maintain clear boundaries, you can start making decisions that aren't even truly yours, chasing goals that don't genuinely light you up from within, carrying guilt that doesn't belong to you. You risk losing the clear signal of your own soul because it becomes buried under the accumulated noise of everyone else's unresolved stuff. Let me be unequivocally clear. You cannot fully step into and fulfill your unique purpose if your energetic system is constantly clogged with other people's energy. Your power, your innate brilliance, needs protection, not impenetrable walls that lead to isolation, not a cold detachment, but conscious, intentional boundaries. You need to create the space and cultivate the habit of regularly checking in with yourself and asking, is this feeling, this thought, this urge truly mine? Or did I pick this up from someone else? And if the answer is not mine, you must learn to let it go without explanation, without guilt. Because if you don't actively protect your energy, the world will use it, and it certainly won't ask for your permission first. From this moment forward, begin to treat your energy not as an unlimited public resource, but as sacred. And trust that the people who genuinely deserve access to it, those who will honor and respect it, will intuitively know how to do so. So how do you set these crucial energetic boundaries without becoming cold, distant, or unapproachable? Let's get something straight right away. Having strong boundaries doesn't mean you transform into a reclusive, don't talk to me kind of person. It simply means you finally make the conscious decision to stop bleeding your precious life force for people who wouldn't offer you a bandage in return. And if your energy is indeed strong, if you're often the one people naturally turn to for advice, clarity, or comfort, then you need these boundaries like you need oxygen. Not just emotional boundaries, but specifically energetic ones. Because without them, you are constantly, unconsciously leaking power. But here's the empowering news. You don't need to yell, you don't need to justify your needs extensively, and you certainly don't need to offer lengthy explanations for protecting your space. You just need to get crystal clear within yourself. Let me break it down. An energetic boundary is essentially an invisible contract you make with yourself and the universe. It clearly states, here's what I allow into my personal space, and here's what I do not. And it all begins with one simple but profound shift in perspective. You stop trying to manage how others feel and instead start diligently managing how you respond to them and their energy. You're not being cold. You're just no longer making yourself emotionally available to everyone all the time for any reason. And that, my friend, is a hallmark of true power. Now, let's talk about how to put this into practice effectively. Step 1. Ground yourself before every significant interaction. This doesn't require a 30-minute meditation session, though that can be beneficial too. It can take as little as 10 seconds. Before you walk into a potentially challenging room, answer a difficult phone call, or engage in a conversation you anticipate might be draining, take a moment. Mentally affirm, I am grounded. I choose what enters my field. I do not absorb what is not mine. This simple act primes your nervous system to observe rather than automatically absorb. Step 2. Visualize a filter, not an impenetrable wall. Walls block all connection, good and bad. Filters, on the other hand, protect while still allowing positive exchange. Imagine a thin, shimmering layer of light, perhaps like a fine, golden mesh, all around you. This filter allows love, truth, and clarity to pass through easily, while it effectively blocks or deflects guilt, manipulation, projected negativity, and general chaos. Step 3. Master the art of saying no with zero added explanation. Every time you over-explain a boundary, you subconsciously apologize for having it, which weakens its power. Practice concise and clear refusals. No, that doesn't work for me. I won't be available for that. I'm not the right person for this particular conversation. Period. No guilt, no lengthy justifications. Step 4. Become highly discerning about who you grant deep emotional access to. Not everyone deserves a backstage pass to your soul. Just because someone is hurting doesn't automatically make it your job to fix them. Just because they crave your energy doesn't mean they've earned the right to it. Ask yourself this question often, especially after interactions. Does this person, this situation, restore me or drain me? That question alone, answered honestly, can radically change your life and your relationships. And here's the crucial mindset shift that seals it all. boundaries aren't primarily about pushing people away. They are about consciously holding your own energy at such a high, clear vibration that only those who are ready and willing to meet you at that resonant level can comfortably stay. It's not rejection, it's selection. You are curating your life, your experiences, your energetic environment. Not everyone makes the guest list, and that's perfectly okay. For example, you're on a call and a friend starts dumping the same old negativity, reciting the same drama you've heard 100 times before. In the past, you might have sat there, passively absorbing it, nodding politely, feeling your own energy plummet. Now, with your newfound awareness, you gently but firmly stop them. Calmly, clearly, and with love, you might say, "Hey, I care about you, but this particular topic isn't something I can hold space for today." That's a boundary. Simple, direct, and ultimately loving, both to yourself and in a way to them, as it discourages unhealthy patterns. And guess what? The right people, the ones who genuinely respect you, will respect your boundary. The wrong ones, those who are more invested in what they can get from you, will likely try to guilt trip you or push back. Their reaction will tell you everything you need to know because your boundary will expose their relationship with control. Real healthy connections adjust, unhealthy user mentality connections resist. So here's the rule to live by. Protect your peace as if it's your paycheck. Because truthfully, in terms of your overall well-being and ability to function, it absolutely is. To maintain this clarity, you need a daily energetic cleanse. And let's get something straight. You don't need to move to a remote mountaintop, wear only white linen, or burn sage like it's your primary religion just to keep your energy clear. Though, again, if those things resonate, embrace them. Real effective energy hygiene isn't about elaborate rituals. It's about simple consistency. And if your energy is naturally strong and sensitive, you need a daily reset the same way your phone needs to recharge overnight. Because if you don't consciously clear your field, you risk waking up and operating on other people's leftover programming and emotional residue. Let me show you a few fast and simple ways to cleanse your energy field. Step 1. Breathe like you're flushing a system. Before you even touch your phone in the morning or after any particularly intense interaction during the day, stop. Close your eyes. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose for a count of 4. Hold it gently for a count of 4, and then exhale slowly and completely through your mouth for a count of 6. Now, here's the key. As you exhale, mentally or softly say, "I release anything that isn't mine." You would be genuinely shocked at how much energetic baggage you might have unconsciously picked up throughout your day that was never yours to carry in the first place. That sudden wave of anxiety could have been your partner's stress. That feeling of heaviness could have come from a stranger you passed in line at the grocery store. We are, to varying degrees, energetic sponges, whether we consciously acknowledge it or not. Deliberate breathing is how you effectively wring yourself out. Step 2. Use the cut and release visualization. This one is remarkably powerful. Imagine yourself surrounded by ethereal cords or connections. These represent energetic ties to people, conversations, emotions, and events from your day. Then visualize a clean, sharp blade, perhaps like a sword of pure light or truth, and mentally, with intention, cut every single cord that doesn't serve your highest good or that feels draining. As you do this, affirm in your mind, "I return this energy to its original source with love, and I call all of my own power back to me now." You don't have to believe in magic for this to work. Your subconscious mind runs powerfully on imagery and intention. This practice trains your brain to release unhelpful emotional attachments and reclaim your focus and energetic sovereignty. Step 3. Ground yourself with a simple, anchoring statement. After releasing, anchor yourself firmly in the present. Say something like, "I am fully in my body. I am present in this moment. I choose what I carry." Why is this important? Because people with high or sensitive energy can sometimes tend to dissociate slightly without even realizing it. You might get stuck in your head, looped in other people's emotional dramas, or mentally floating off into the future or past. This simple statement pulls you back to your center, to your power, to the here and now. As a bonus, consider a 2-minute nighttime reset before bed. Before you drift off to sleep, take just 2 minutes. Sit quietly, breathe deeply a few times, then mentally scan your day. As you do, firmly state, I rebuke and release all negativity from my day and from my field. This simple act alone can significantly change how deeply and restfully you sleep. You're not just resting your physical body, you're actively clearing your energetic field for a true reset. This isn't about achieving some state of energetic perfection. It's about staying tuned in, consistently and consciously. Because when your energy is clean and clear, everything else in your life tends to get clearer too. Your intuition becomes sharper, your boundaries feel more natural, your decisions are more aligned, and your self-respect deepens. You're not foggy because you're inherently lost. You're often foggy because your energetic field is cluttered. Cleanse daily, not for show, but because your energy is the precious currency you spend every single second, and you simply can't afford to give it away indiscriminately without checking the bill. Let's get brutally honest. If you don't master the skill of not absorbing other people's emotional chaos, you'll constantly feel like life is happening to you rather than flowing through you. You'll walk into a room feeling perfectly fine, and then 10 minutes later, find yourself inexplicably anxious, irritable, or utterly exhausted with no clear idea why. Here's the unvarnished truth. You're not just empathic, you might be energetically porous. This means your system has a tendency to automatically sync with the dominant emotional frequency of whoever or whatever is around you. And unless you learn how to consciously maintain your energetic sovereignty, you risk carrying other people's fear, shame, tension, or insecurity as if it's your own personal birthright. This isn't just spiritual talk, it's grounded in neuroscience. Your brain is wired with something called mirror neurons. These specialized cells literally cause you to internally mimic, to some extent, the emotional state of the people around you. It's a fundamental mechanism for how babies learn, how empathy functions, and how social bonding occurs. But if you don't set an intentional energetic boundary, what is meant to be a tool for connection can morph into emotional contamination. So, how do you stop absorbing other people's chaos and start truly owning your emotional state? Step 1. Recognize the transfer. The very moment you notice your mood changing suddenly and inexplicably after interacting with someone or being in a certain environment, pause. Ask yourself, was I feeling this way before I spoke to them, entered this space? If the answer is no, congratulations, you've just caught the transfer in action. That awareness is 80% of the battle. Step 2. Use the mental armor trick. Right before you enter a space or situation that you anticipate might feel heavy or draining, be it work, a family gathering, or even a toxic group chat, use this powerful mental line. Their storm is not my weather. It's simple, sharp, and cuts right through the potential static. This phrase subtly instructs your subconscious. I can witness what's happening without absorbing it. I can care without carrying it. Step 3. Intentionally stay in observation mode, not absorption mode. You walk into a room and the energy feels off. People are tense or agitated. Your old pattern might be to try and match it, fix it, or soothe it. Instead, consciously shift. Literally say to yourself, I am observing the energy in this room, not becoming it. This anchors your consciousness in the role of a witness, which helps to stop the automatic emotional download. Step 4. After contact, shake it off, literally. Your physical body can hold onto energy much like static electricity clings to a sweater. So, when you leave a conversation or environment that felt off, actively shake out your hands. I stretch your body or physically move. Walk outside if you can. Do a few hard, forceful exhales as if you're physically blowing that unwanted energetic debris out of your system. Even just consciously saying, I release what's not mine, as you move, your body can help reset your nervous system. The bottom line is this: you are not here on this earth to be a passive sponge, soaking up everything around you, clean or dirty. You are here to be a lighthouse. Sponges absorb indiscriminately. Lighthouses, however, hold their position firmly, no matter how fierce the storm rages around them. They shine their light, they guide, but they don't get dragged under by the turbulent waters. So, from this moment forward, make a conscious commitment. Stop absorbing other people's chaos. You witness it, you stay clear, you stay powerful, because the world doesn't need another empath who is perpetually exhausted and overwhelmed. It desperately needs empaths who are sovereign, clear, and empowered. Finally, let me say something that might resonate deep within your soul. You weren't given this remarkable level of energy, this profound sensitivity, just to merely survive the challenges of life. You were given it to change life, to shift perspectives, to disrupt outdated patterns, to gently or sometimes forcefully wake people up. But first, paradoxically, it had to wake you up. People with inherently powerful energy often carry histories marked by significant pain or challenge, not because they are cursed, but because pressure over time cultivates presence. Trauma, in its many forms, may have forced you to observe acutely, to read rooms with uncanny accuracy, to sense potential danger before it even fully materialized. That heightened sensitivity, that intense awareness, was initially a survival mechanism, but over time, honed and integrated, it transformed into your extraordinary gift. And now, as a result, you walk into spaces and feel the subtle undercurrents before most people even notice a ripple. You sense the unspoken lie behind a practiced smile. You see the carefully concealed tension simmering beneath a calm surface. And most people operating on a different frequency simply don't get it. They might say things like, "Why are you so intense all the time? Can't you just relax and not take things so seriously? Why do you always have to go so deep?" It's because you're not designed to skim the surface. You're here to disrupt the fake, to expose the hidden, and to gently, persistently call people back to their own authentic truth. That's not an accident. That's your design.